This is the cable that goes all the way up to the front of the van to the batteries. This connects to the battery charger. I ran it in this PEX pipe because I had this PEX pipe left over. It goes along this wheel well and then tucks into the channel in the bottom of the van and goes all the way up to the front, and it goes behind our shower. So it was just easy and convenient at the time to put it in this PEX pipe to protect it. So it worked out really well. It comes in right up against the insulation and behind my electrical panel, and I cut a little hole to pull that through and connect to the battery charger, which will actually be on top of the wheel well box. And that PEX pipe, I just slid it all the way through until it came out the other side of the shower, and it came out this hole. After I ran the PEX pipe, I pushed the wire through. It would be better if you have enough length of wire to push the wire through the PEX pipe first, but I didn't do that. Another thing, to make it easier, if you wipe off that wire with some WD-40 or silicone spray and just clean it off good, or you could even use some Windex or some kind of dish soap just to wipe it down and get it clean, it will slide right through that PEX pipe very easily. And now these two wires are going to come and go under the floor and connect to the battery, which on the ProMaster is directly in front of the driver's feet. This 2-conductor wire is the signal wire that tells the battery charger to turn on, and the other one tells it to cut the amperage in half. What I think is interesting is how I ran these cables to the battery. They come through the footrest, then they go under the foam floor. This is the auxiliary access to the gas tank, and up above this, just out of camera view, is the battery. This signal wire needs to turn on the battery charger only when the car is on or when a switch is depressed. So I'm going to take this panel off. I'm going to run that wire up to where this USB port is. I'm going to remove this USB port and I'm going to put a switch in here. I don't want this USB port that came with the car because it charges very slowly. Instead, to charge my phones, I'm going to use one of these cigarette lighter type adapters. Plus, I've already run 2 more USB port chargers on the shelf just above. So it's easy to reach for both the passenger and the driver. So that's what you're about to see. The cup holder, you just have to grasp it and give it a good pull and it snaps right out. Then there are 2 screws you have to take out right here, which I believe are T20. They're the star type. Then up here on both sides there are some little cover panels that have to be removed. Then under that there are 2 more T20 screws. Ooh, that fell in the battery compartment. And then it just pulls off. In order to get this USB out, you have to push on the front and back and depress these 2 and then pull it out
So if you have 2 screwdrivers and push them in on this side, you should be able to pop it right out. Then underneath there's one zip tie holding it, and there's a cable. That's the connector that goes into this, which is part of the USB. And then you just pull it out, and that's all there is to it. And now you have a cigarette lighter sized hole to put our switch. What I want to do is place this switch, the same type of switch I've used throughout the van build, and place that in that cigarette lighter hole. What's really nice is that that switch will fit right inside one of these cigarette lighter sockets, and it fits in perfectly. Look at that. It's almost like it was made to fit in there. Now, of course, we're going to have to modify the socket a little bit. I don't need the electronics in the socket or the electrical connections, so I'm just going to cut the socket in half. I don't even need all the threading. Matter of fact, that threading is really tight in the socket hole, so I don't even need to thread it in. I'll be able to just push this in after I get it wired up. So I'm going to take this socket and I'm going to cut it right about there, just so that I have a nice holder for my switch. That is basically all I need. Just clean that piece of plastic up a little bit, and that is our decorative little holder for our switch. So I just cut off the connector for the USB. We're not going to need that. I'm going to put that with the USB that I took out. Hang on to that. Not sure what for, but we'll hang on to that. Now I'm going to strip these wires and measure them with a voltmeter. Be sure I know which one's negative, which one's positive. To find out which one's negative and positive, you just got to turn the car into auxiliary. And put a voltmeter, measure the voltage. Can I do this with one hand? And you can see on the voltmeter I'm measuring 14.8 volts, and there's no negative sign, so that means the polarity of the probes is correct. The red is the red and the black is the black. If I had them reversed, it would show negative. So I guessed right, and this one right here is the positive lead. Oh, shut that off. Now it's really easy. I got my little connectors that came with the switch already hooked up. This one right here is the ground that needs to go to the switch in order for the LED to light up, and these two are the wires that passes through. So we need the positive to go to this, so that we will be turning on the inverter when I flip the switch on. And just put it in just like that. Okay, I ran my signal wire nice and neatly and actually zip tied it to the wire that goes to this cigarette lighter socket right there. And now I just need to attach it together with another Wago connector. And that's pretty much it for the wiring. Just to keep things neat, I'm going to put one zip tie to keep these guys together, and so that they're not rattling and knocking against anything. So we can tuck those up around there. And that's pretty much it. I'll turn the van on and test it. So if I flip that switch up, the little blue light comes on. You see, I don't think you can see that. So when I flip the switch on, the little blue LED comes on, lets us know there's power to that switch and power flowing back and turning on the battery to battery charger. Now, I do have it hooked up so that when just the auxiliary is on and the car isn't running, the battery to battery charger will be on. And that's not the best situation, but I'm only going to turn this on when I'm underway and moving the vehicle. So I don't believe that's going to be a problem. Back here you see the battery to battery charger. These are the two signal wires. One of them cuts the amperage in half. This is a 40 amp unit. So when there's power to that, it drops to 20 amps. The other wire turns the battery to battery charger on only when 12 volts is applied. So that way it only comes on when the vehicle's on. There are these dip switch settings here for different battery types. I have lithium batteries, so this is set correctly for the lithium batteries. There are different charge settings if you have AGM batteries. I'm using 4-gauge wire here. That's the largest gauge wire that would have lugs that would fit on to this battery to battery charger. The output and the input wires of the battery to battery charger are both fused. Here you see my main circuit panel. Right here is the DC to DC input fuse at 50 amps. And up here is the DC to DC output fuse at 50 amps. The charger is also fused right up next to the battery with the same type of fuse you see here. In another video, I go over the complete panel and how everything is wired. So if you're interested, please take a look for that.